Welcome to the Maine Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I'm Bobbie Grenier, your trusted guide to navigating the world of real estate in Maine. Get ready to debunk mortgage myths, unravel real estate mysteries, and learn tips to avoid costly mistakes. Whether you're an industry pro, an overwhelmed buyer, confused seller, or simply curious about life in Maine, this is the podcast for you. Hey there, you have found the Maine Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Bobbie, and this is a podcast where we talk about all things Maine real estate and the Maine real estate industry. If you're new to the podcast, thank you so much for pushing play. And to all of my OG listeners, thank you so much. You are the wind beneath my wings and the reason that I put this podcast out. I want to start off today's episode by talking a little bit about the title of this podcast. Not just this episode, but the podcast itself. After looking at many title options, I decided on the Maine Real Estate Roundtable. I tried out a bunch of names like Maine Real Estate Rescue, Real Talk Real Estate Podcast, there's probably hundreds of those, and a few others, but I kept coming back to the Maine Real Estate Roundtable, and here's why. I wanted this podcast to be more than just a place where I give the basics of real estate transactions. I like the idea of having roundtable in the title because it creates the feeling of open discussion and a true back and forth. I think that's what makes this podcast special. Whether I have guests on to share their stories and their experience and expertise, or I'm just here solo talking about different topics, I want this to feel like we're having a real conversation. This episode actually was inspired by a roundtable I had with some high school seniors. Recently, I had the privilege of speaking at the Tri-County Technical Center for their new pilot program on entrepreneurship and small business. But before I jump into that, I just want to take a quick side note and say how much I truly love and appreciate these tech programs in our schools. It's so wonderful to see schools embracing alternative programs, not just in the areas of welding, construction, or automotive mechanics, which are all incredible trades to learn at the high school level, but they're also encouraging students to think differently and to see other possibilities for their futures, and I am a huge fan. Honestly, this was my first time speaking in a classroom setting like this, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but these students were amazing. They were engaged, they asked incredible questions, and they were really inquisitive. The topic I focused on was entrepreneurship in the real estate industry, and as I prepared, I was struck by just how many opportunities there are within real estate for creativity and innovation in entrepreneurship. And you know, I have to admit, I was surprised to find myself getting excited as I was talking to them about all the obtainable careers and the paths that exist in real estate. Every single one of them has an entrepreneurial path, and even better, there are so many ways to marry and cross these careers and businesses. It is amazing how you can combine different aspects of this field to build something unique that works for you and your strengths and your passions. It was super rewarding to see these students interested in something I've spent the last 20 years of my life doing. And honestly, as I was preparing, I realized I'm still so excited about this field. It made me think that I wish I was a little bit younger. I could go back and enter this industry with a fresh and entrepreneurial mindset. That ship has sailed. I've been in this industry for over 21 years, but that doesn't mean that I can't try to get that fresh mindset. So today, I want to share with you some of the thoughts, insights, professions, and business ideas that I discussed with those students. If you're new to the industry or even a seasoned pro, I think you'll find some inspiration here. When I spoke with the students, I asked them what the first career was when they thought of real estate, and of course they said a real estate agent. It is often the first career that comes to mind when people think of real estate. Real estate agents help clients buy, sell, rent, lease properties, and entrepreneurship comes into play as agents can work independently, or they can create their own team or brokerage down the line. To get started as a real estate agent, you need a high school diploma, and then you can enroll in a pre-licensing course to prepare for the state exam. Successful agents are self-starters, they're people-oriented, they're great at building relationships, they're great at negotiation. Being a real estate agent, a successful real estate agent, it takes a lot of drive and hustle. And a lot of people think correctly that real estate is a saturated career or a saturated field. And they're not wrong. But I do believe, because I've seen it happen, if you work hard, if you stay consistent, if you're in it for the long haul, you can rise to the top and you can be successful as a real estate agent. One piece of advice that I gave to these kids, and I stand by it, is that if they decide, and a couple of the kids were interested in becoming real estate agents, if they decide to go into a career as a real estate agent, talk with a lot of different agents from different agencies. Find the agency that works for you. There are a lot of great agencies out there, but like anything, there are different companies with different cultures, different mentorship, different support for new agents, different training, different tech. So take the time to find the right situation for you. And trust me, you will be a much happier person in the long run. The next career I want to talk about, which is probably the total opposite end of the spectrum from a real estate agent, and that is a title abstractor. So if you like solving puzzles, if you like research and history, you may be interested in being an abstractor. Title abstractors research property records to ensure there are no legal issues with title. It's a crucial part of a real estate transaction, and it can be a great independent career. I will tell you that finding good abstractors is getting more and more difficult as there is a real skill to it, and it seems to be a career with an aging population. Many title abstractors are self-employed or they work on a contract basis for title companies and title attorneys. To get started, you need strong research skills, attention to detail, and a willingness to learn the ins and outs of title records. You need to know how the Registry of Deeds works, and you also need a basic knowledge of the Maine title standards. Some abstractors learn on the job through mentorship, intern, or training with a title company or title attorney. We can't forget about the money. A mortgage loan officer is a key player in helping clients secure financing to buy their homes and to buy real estate. They assess the borrower's financial situations. They recommend loan products to buyers. They guide them through the application process, the entire buying process, and they work very closely with real estate agents. To succeed as a loan officer, you need strong financial knowledge, excellent communication skills, and a knack for customer service and sales. Some loan officers have a background in business, or they may have a business degree. In Maine, becoming a mortgage loan officer requires completing 20 hours of pre-licensing education, passing the NMLS Safe Mortgage Loan Origination Test, and that's the nationwide mortgage licensing system. Loan officers undergo a background check and they have to submit an application through the NML. Plus, they need to keep up with annual continuing education to maintain their license. If you think that's not really what I'm looking for, don't be deceived to think that being a mortgage loan officer means you have to sit in a bank. You can work for a mortgage company. You can work for a bank if you like that structure, a credit union. And I actually just did an episode, and that was episode 30 with Haley McGovern, the lender lady, and she actually started her own mortgage broker company. She's a great example of a young person that went for it, that started her own business, and she's doing very well. So if you want to learn more about that, go back and listen to episode 30 with the lender lady. Here's another profession that's near and dear to my heart because I've done this for over 20 years, and that's being a closer for real estate transactions. A closer goes, meets with buyers and sellers, and they guide them through signing the final documents to make their real estate transaction official and final. Some closers are traveling closers, and that's actually very cool. I've traveled all over the state of Maine doing that. You meet clients at their homes, in their offices, or maybe at a real estate office. And many closers work for title companies, but there's also the potential to work independently, especially with remote notarization options. To become a closer, you do need to be a notary public. You need to have strong people skills and be comfortable explaining documents to clients. You also need to have the ability to work on the fly and be flexible because sometimes you're out in the field and not everything goes according to plan. So you need to be able to handle those types of situations. But it's a really interesting job. You meet so many people, and it can be very special when you're with a first-time home buyer, somebody buying their second home, their dream home, their vacation home, or even sellers that are moving on to some new adventure. So that can be a really rewarding aspect in the real estate industry and one that I'm very familiar with. There are also other options if you want to have more of a hands-on approach in the real estate industry, and you could be a home inspector. And a home inspector assesses the condition of a property before it's sold, and it will identify any issues that might need repair for the buyer. This field has strong entrepreneurial opportunities as inspectors can be independent or build their own company. To become a home inspector, most states require a license, which involves completing an accredited program. Inspectors need a detail-oriented mindset, an understanding of construction basics, and the ability to communicate findings to clients effectively. Another hands-on option may be a real estate appraiser. Appraisers determine the value of a property, which is essential for a real estate transaction. The lender needs to know the value of the property before they're going to give you a loan. Many appraisers work for themselves, giving them control over their schedules and client base. Becoming an appraiser typically requires an apprenticeship under a licensed appraiser, as well as passing a licensing exam. Math skills, analytical thinking, and attention to market trends are crucial to be a real estate appraiser. If you have a creative nature, there are definitely some opportunities here for you as well. The first one I want to talk about is being a marketing specialist. Marketing specialists help real estate agents or real estate firms build their brands, reach clients, stand out in a competitive market. This can include social media management, email marketing, and event planning. Marketing specialists can start their own business or offer freelance services to real estate agents. And getting started generally requires strong communication skills, creativity, knowledge of marketing tools. This field is ideal for someone who's tech savvy and innovative. And I did an episode with Chelsea Shappy. She has her own marketing company called Maine Marketing. So go back and listen to that episode, and it's on personal branding. But Chelsea really is a great example of being an entrepreneur, and she's also a real estate agent, so she has married and blended several of these skills, which I think is one of the coolest aspects of what we're talking about here today. Being a photographer or videographer could be another creative aspect in the real estate industry. Visuals are key in real estate, making photographers and videographers vital for creating listings and promotional materials. Many photographers are independent or they run their own studios, and the demand for quality visuals is high. To get started, you need a good eye, you need experience with a camera, and you need some equipment, and you definitely need editing skills. Real estate photography is a niche field and its own techniques, but it's a great opportunity for those who are creative and enjoy visual storytelling. If you have a flair for design, you could also be an interior designer or stager. Interior designers or home stagers help properties look their absolute best for market, which can be a game changer for a sale. Many interior designers are self-employed or have their own staging business. To get started, you need an eye for design, creativity, and knowledge of current trends. Some designers take courses in interior design, but many start by building a portfolio and working with real estate agents. It's amazing how many of these paths are open to young people with or without a college degree, and many of these careers just require a state license or a certificate and some specialized training or mentorship. College can certainly be beneficial to increase your knowledge and can definitely impact your earning potential, but it's not always necessary, and it's okay to let young people know they have options. Every single one of these roles contributes something unique to the real estate industry. I want to encourage anyone interested in real estate to think outside the box and look beyond just the traditional path of becoming a real estate agent. It's such an exciting time in the industry with so many different opportunities waiting to be explored. From title abstracting, home inspector, marketing, staging, remote notarization, photography, videography, there are countless ways to build a career here, and each one brings unique challenges and lots of rewards. It's true that this industry isn't easy. It can be stressful at times, especially when you're helping people with one of the most significant investments of their lives. But if you work hard, you stay consistent, you keep that entrepreneurial mindset, real estate can be truly an amazing field with incredible earning potential and room for growth. I want to point you to some past podcast episodes that may help you in considering some of these careers. If you're interested in marketing, check out episode 24, Personal Branding 101 with Chelsea Shappy. If you're interested in interior design or staging, listen to episode 15, and that's Designing Dreams with Lisa Richards and Bradley Mitchell. If you're thinking about being a new agent, maybe episode 11 will help you, and that's Mentorship Matters with Grace Nash. If you're considering photography or videography, check out episode 8, and that's the power of real estate photography, again with my friend Chelsea Shappy. And if you're interested in a career as a mortgage loan officer, I had a great conversation with Jillian Benson, and she is a mortgage loan officer with Leader One, and that is episode 7, Mortgage 101. I hope these resources are helpful. Thank you for tuning in, and if you're feeling inspired, maybe take a closer look at some of these fields. There's no one-size-fits-all path, that's for sure, in real estate, and I hope today's episode opened up some new possibilities for you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep pushing forward, and keep it real. This has been the Maine Real Estate Roundtable podcast with Bobbie Grenier. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion and will share this episode with a friend. And don't forget to leave a review and follow the podcast so you don't miss new episodes. The content of this podcast is for informational purposes and not intended as legal advice or representation by myself or any of the guests on the podcast. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep it real.